Today I'm going to break down something that challenges almost everything people believe about money and retirement. Most people think you need $1 million or $2 million or even $5 million to stop working forever. But that simply isn't true. The real path to financial freedom isn't based on how much money you have. It's based on how much income your money can generate for you. And that's why in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how someone can realistically live off a $500,000 investment portfolio. I'll walk you through the math, the mindset, the returns, the lifestyle examples, the risks, and the psychology behind why this actually works. No fluff, just the real breakdown. Let me start with the fundamental rule that guides everything in this video. Financial independence doesn't come from having a huge amount of money. It comes from reaching the point where your passive income covers your living expenses. And that's it. If your investments are producing the amount of income you need to live on, you no longer need a job, you no longer need to trade time for money, and you no longer need millions saved up. That's why $500,000 can be enough. It doesn't sound like a huge number in today's world, but when you apply it correctly, and when you understand returns, expenses, and portfolio structure, it can fund a simple, sustainable lifestyle indefinitely. So let's start with the conversation version of this plan. What happens if I take $500,000 and put it into safe, fixed income assets like bonds or treasuries or high-yield savings or short-term duration bond funds? These type of investments commonly generate around 5% per year. Now let me show you the math. 5% of $500,000 is $25,000 per year, or just over $2,000 per month. In this scenario, I'm not touching the original $500,000 at all. I'm living purely off the income it generates. It's stable, predictable, and extremely low risk. Is $2,000 per month luxurious? No. But for someone with a paid-off home, low expenses, and a simple lifestyle, it's absolutely enough to cover the basics. And again, the principle stays intact. Now, let's look at something far more common. A balanced, diversified portfolio of stocks and bonds. Historically, these portfolios return around 8 to 9% annually over the long run. So let's take 8.5% as a realistic estimate. If I earn 8.5% on a $500,000 portfolio, that's $42,500 a year, or about $3,540 per month. Now we're talking about a lifestyle that's not just manageable, but actually comfortable. I could travel, I could save part of that money, I could upgrade parts of my life while still protecting the principal. And again, I'm not draining the portfolio, I'm living off what it produces. Let me explain why this strategy actually works. Most people think wealth is about accumulating stuff. A big house, luxury cars, expensive clothes, but that's the consumer mindset. The investor mindset is completely different. My goal isn't to spend money. My goal is to make money work for me. This is why living off returns works. When I use money to generate more money, I create a machine that pays me indefinitely. I don't have to gamble. I don't have to chase the next big trend. I simply let the portfolio do its job. Wealth is measured in options, not objects. Let me give you a practical example of how this looks in real life. Let's say I'm single. My home is paid off. My total monthly living expenses are around $2,500. This includes property taxes, utilities, groceries, transportation, insurance, and some entertainment. Now let's compare that to the passive income I just showed you. If my portfolio generates around $3,540 per month, that gives me more than enough to live comfortably and still have extra money left over. I'm not stressed, I'm not paycheck to paycheck, and I'm not touching the principal. It's a simple life, but it's a free life. Now, here's the part that most people don't want to hear. The biggest obstacle to financial independence isn't how much you earn. It's how much you spend. Let me give you two examples. The average person spends over $600,000 on cars in their lifetime. Not investments, cars. Vehicles that lose value and drain cash. And the average person spends more than $3,000 per year on coffee, takeout, and convenience food. If that same $3,000 were invested annually at 8%, it could grow into over $800,000 in 30 years. So it's not that people can't save. It's that they don't realize how expensive their habits are. If I control my spending, financial freedom becomes mathematically unavoidable. Let me show you how achievable this actually is. If I save $2,000 a month, I reach $500,000 in about 18 years, and faster if I'm investing along the way. If $2,000 a month feels impossible, I can start with $500 a month. As my income grows, I increase it. The key is consistency, not perfection, not massive income, just showing up financially every month. Let me tell you the biggest advantage of passive income. It's the psychological freedom. When my investments cover my bills, I'm no longer stuck in survival mode. I'm not afraid of losing my job. I'm not dependent on my boss. I'm not forced to stay in a career that I don't enjoy. And I don't make decisions based on fear. Instead, I get to choose. Do I want to work? Do I want to switch careers? Do I want to start a business? Do I want to travel for a year? Passive income gives me that. And time is the real currency of life. Let's address two key questions: inflation and Social Security. Now, inflation is built into the strategy. If my portfolio is earning around 8 to 9% and I'm only withdrawing 6 to 7%, the remaining returns naturally outpace inflation. Over time, the portfolio grows, and my passive income increases with it. And later in life, Social Security helps too. The average benefit today is around $1,900 a month. For couples, that's closer to $4,000. Combined with investment income, that creates an extremely comfortable retirement. Now, what happens during market downturns? This is where diversification and discipline matter. As long as I'm primarily living off the yield and not selling my principal, temporary market losses aren't catastrophic. I protect myself by maintaining a diversified portfolio, keeping a cash buffer of 6 to 12 months, staying consistent and not panicking, keeping my expenses reasonable. Crashes become temporary setbacks, not financial disasters. Let me talk about something that silently destroys more wealth than anything else: lifestyle inflation. Most people increase their spending every time they increase their income. They upgrade their homes, cars, their gadgets, they go on vacations, and they stay trapped in the cycle of working forever. But if I keep my expenses stable while my income grows, wealth builds automatically. Wealth isn't about income. It's about habits. To reach financial independence with $500,000, here are the habits I need. Spend less than I earn. Invest consistently. Avoid debt when possible. Resist the urge to upgrade everything. Hold investments long term. Stay calm during market volatility. These habits matter more than any specific stock or investment strategy. A $500,000 portfolio won't buy me luxury. It won't buy me status symbols. But it buys something far more valuable: autonomy, security, time, options, and freedom. It lets me choose how I live my life instead of being forced into decisions by financial pressure. That's the real goal of financial independence. So yes, living off $500,000 is absolutely possible. It's not effortless. It requires discipline, intentional spending, and consistent investing. But the math works, the strategy works, and the long-term results are life-changing. I'm Carlo. Thanks for watching. And remember, this isn't financial advice. It's your life, your money, and your choice whether that $500,000 works for you or sits idle until it slowly disappears.